Welcome everyone to my channel. Please don't forget to subscribe, share, and give this a thumbs up. Please enjoy the continuing story in episode 2 as we get right into it. As I make my way into the forest of banishment, everything is so unfamiliar. I've never been this far toward the rising of the light. I am not far from the mountains by the great water source. I feel so alone here, and the only things running through my mind are regret, anger, and fear. How could I have let my mother down? How could I have done this to my own father? Will Zinnik hate me now and come to find me to hunt me down? These questions are going through my mind. I make my way to the first cave that I see. It is in no way the same comfort of my den that I've had since my young times. I go out to collect leaves and branches to make a bed so I can take at least a rest during the night. Little did I know that I was not alone in that cave. Now, when it comes to forest creatures, my species are generally the largest. I, however, am only 7 heads tall, and not as strong as many other males in the territory. I am a fast runner, though. What happens next was the first of many struggles I would have to deal with here, being in banishment from the safety of my family group. About halfway through the night, I am awakened by some small rocks being kicked about. I hear heavy breathing and huffing. I look around the corner to see outside the cave, where the moonlight is illuminating the entrance. Standing there was a very large black bear. He called out, "Who is in here? I smell your stench, you stupid ape." I rise up and come around the corner to confront him. He pauses and just looks me over for a second. I tell him that I am just passing through, looking for a place to dwell. He said that I had passed into the wrong place. He became very angry and said that I wasn't leaving this cave now. I got nervous because this was a formidable bear. I noticed he had several scars on his face from previous fights. He then piped up and said, "These scars are the others that I fought. I only fight to the death." I realized this bear was one of the several rogue bears that Father talked about many moons ago. There was an incident where several bears went rogue and started killing for sport. Several males from a nearby territory confronted them peacefully, and a fight broke out, and 2 or 3 of the males were very injured, and later were no longer alive because of the injuries. Father and dozens of other males pushed them out of the territory to here in banishment. These were very aggressive bears and had no respect for life. Vast majority of the bears I know are quite peaceful, and to this day, we still don't know why they did what they did. But here I am face to face with one, and the only way out is to fight. I asked him his name, and he stood up and said he was called Kelkar. He was the same 7 heads tall as me, and obviously weighed more. I needed to think more than fight. I looked around to see what I had available, and there wasn't much. He charged me at full force before I could even react. He swiped at my side and cut me deeply with his claws. I yelled out in pain and hit him as hard as I could with a closed fist on the top of his head. He staggered some and shook his head, but seemed unaffected. He let out a loud yell and charged back at me. I kicked my leg forward hard and broke out one of his bottom teeth as his head flew back and he tumbled to the ground. At this point, I was bleeding a lot from my side wound and could feel so much pain. He lunged back at me, and as I got my hands around his head, he put his paws on my shoulders and knocked me down because of his weight. He got a bite in on my shoulder, the same one that was injured by the cougar just days ago, and I yelled again in pain. This bear truly wanted to end my life. As he lifted his head up to bite down on me again, I grabbed a small rock beside us and hit him directly in the side of the head with it. I could feel his power fade and he tumbled off me and freed me. As I got up, he swiped at my leg and knocked me back down. He stood up again, this time to probably hit me in the stomach full force. I rolled to one side, and as I got up, I switched the rock to my other hand and hit him on the bottom of his jaw full force and broke it completely. He fell backwards, unconscious. I dropped the rock and staggered out of the cave as quickly as I could. I didn't want to even fight, much less end his life. As I left the cave, there about 2 paces in front of me was a female and a young male standing there. I was very afraid because I am injured and tired from fighting. So I grab a tree limb and break it off and hold it up and tell them that I don't want trouble. I just want to leave this area. The female moved towards me and said in a very calm, soothing voice that they weren't here to hurt me. They heard the noise and came over to see what was happening. I told them that we had to get out of here because I just knocked out a bear named Kelkar and he could wake up. Her eyes got large, and what she said next made me wish I could go back in time and fix my mistakes. "You mean you fought him and didn't end him? Oh no. He will hunt you now. Hurry, we must go quickly back to our dwelling land." I ran as best as I could due to my injuries, and she and her younger brother helped me along. She asked my name, and I told her Cyrus. She said her name was Pasha, and her younger brother was Danik. They got back to their den, and Pasha started tending to my wounds. Her father was banished to this forest many moons ago, before her beginning, and he is now gone. It's only her mother, brother, and her and their family group. She said she is 680 moons old, and her brother is 250 moons old. She said that there are others of our species there, but they stay fairly separate from each other. I asked her who the leader of this territory was, and she said there wasn't one. The most feared male in the whole forest was Fadden. I knew I would have to face him, but didn't know the outcome. You see, about 400 moons ago, Fadden was banished from a neighboring territory. When he was about 300 moons old, he became curious about humans and kept going around their shelters to look at them. He was told he must stop, but he didn't. It escalated to him stealing things from the humans and taunting them. He came to view it as a game, a very dangerous game. One night, he was at a shelter of a human male, and the human male caught him there. He ran back to his family group, but didn't know the human male followed and brought one of their metal weapons. 2 males from his territory approached to draw the human male away, and they were bitten by the metal weapon, and it took their life. Fadden's mother was badly injured, and the rest of the family group fled to our territory. The human male had gotten away unharmed. They feared he would return with more humans. My father discovered that it was because Fadden refused to obey the laws of the forest. To protect us all, my father had no choice but to banish Fadden. Fadden became violently angry and had to be physically banished. He vowed he would get back at my father, and since I had supported the decision, he would get back at me as well. Our relationship turned from friend to enemy instantly. I slept the night there with Pasha's family in their den. The next day, Pasha and her brother showed me around the area and told me where to avoid. I had to keep an eye out behind me just in case Kelkar decided he wanted to finish the fight. I spent several moons there getting to know Pasha and her family. Truth be told, I was starting to feel affection for her, and I think she felt it too. Unfortunately, I had too much that was about to happen to me very soon to think about starting my own family group right this moment. After several more moons there, Danik was out playing when he came running back scared. He said that Fadden was on his way here because he found out a mysterious creature almost killed Kelkar and was hiding out. I knew I would have to get away from Pasha so that she wasn't drug into our issues. So I ran off a little ways away and found a den area under a tree, and I made a bed there to look like I had been hiding out. I went ahead and slept there that night. The next day, the forest was eerily quiet. I got up and looked around, and to my shock, there were about 15 other males and females scattered around me. I had no idea what to think. That's when I realized why they were there. They found out I had fought Kelkar and lived, and they wanted me to challenge Fadden and take his life so they didn't live in fear of him. I told them I would not fight him because he used to be my friend, and I prefer peace over a fight. One of the males got angry and ran off, and the others walked away discouraged. Not even 1 minute later, the forest filled with an echoing yell. It was Fadden. The others turned around and came right back, and this time Pasha joined them to see what was happening. In the distance, you could hear the heavy footsteps running this way. Fadden was running full force at me. Now Fadden was a very large male, standing over 10 head tall. He was a little older than me and much larger. As soon as he got close, he yelled out that I should have never come. He leaped in the air right at me and knocked me to the ground, and we rolled. I managed to shove him away from me as he was trying to get on top of me. As I was trying to get up, he wrapped his arms around me and lifted me and threw me to the side against a tree. I could feel snaps inside my stomach. It hurt so bad. Pasha yelled out in fear and ran off. That distracted Fadden just enough for me to grab a branch and hit him across the face with it as hard as I could. He stumbled over to the side and dropped down to one knee. I threw the branch at him, broken end first, to pierce him, but he managed to swipe and block it from hitting him. He got up and tackled me again and started hitting me. I managed to hit him a few times, but he was clearly stronger and I was wearing down. I crawled away some and got a rock and punched him in the side with it. He dropped to his knees because he had things snap in his stomach. He swept his arm against my legs and knocked me back to the ground, where he tried putting his huge hands around my neck to finish me off. As he did, I was able to knee him on the side that he was injured on, and he immediately let go. I got a larger rock, and because now I was angry, I hit him with it over and over again until I knocked him out. I stopped and saw him lying there unconscious, and I dropped the rock and ran back to Pasha's den. I told them I had to go because it wasn't safe for me there anymore. Pasha said she wanted to go with me and we can start a new life together in another mountain, and her mother agreed. I slowly gathered what berries I could and brought them as a gift to her mother, and we left. We went 2 mountains away and found a cave there. We set out to make it our own. Every day I was in fear. Now I have a new mate to take care of, a new home to protect, and now I have 2 enemies that are likely going to hunt me down. Unfortunately, things soon would take a heated turn for the worst. Thank you everyone for listening and watching. My name is Matt. I hope you enjoyed my story. Your generosity and support is much appreciated, so please hit that subscribe button and like my video and share to your social media. I'll catch everyone in the next video.